I believe the number one pitfall of a brand new investor is there's just so short-sighted. I don't know. It's a combination of naivete and optimism, I guess. Everybody wants a quick fix. Everybody wants instant this, instant that. And you can read a book and get an instant rush. But if you want a result from anything that you learn or read, you have to implement it over time. Time is the variable that makes almost everything work. And the way I like to think of it is if you want to know where you're going to be in 90 days from today, then just look at what you're doing every day. If you're exercising, good health and nutrition, 90 days.
Hello, you're listening to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, presented by Brandon Elliott. This show will be going over all aspects of real estate investing and is intended to educate, motivate, and prepare you to take action on your first or next real estate investment. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone, to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. I am your host, Brandon Elliott, and today we have a special guest, Gavin. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Doing real fantastic, thanks.
Dude, you have a extremely long rap sheet of all the different things that you've done. You're over in Boise, Idaho, correct?
Yeah.
I love it. So normally I like to just let the person I'm interviewing kind of dive into it, but I'm so impressed. I really just want to cover it really quick. And then afterwards, anything that I miss, I just want to see if you could add to it or let the listeners know exactly who you are. And afterwards, we can dive into what you're doing today.
Yeah, you bet.
But yeah, so Gavin, you are a real estate investor, speaker, licensed broker in Boise, Idaho, with over 16 years of experience, participated in hundreds of transactions, including wholesales, remodels, flips, short sales, and lease options. You've developed and taught real estate investing courses ranging from pre-foreclosures, investing tax liens, deeds, property management, and subject to purchases, which is awesome. He's been an investment coach for over 14 years. Dang, that's a lot of years to be helping so many people cut the learning curve. I love that. I'm working one-on-one with thousands of new investors, helping them through their first transactions. You also have the famous podcast show, Rapid Real Estate Radio, which is awesome. So if you guys aren't listening to that one, you definitely are going to want to check out Gavin later on and hit that subscribe button, show him some love, and tune into his platform as well. Gavin, brother, that is awesome. I love giving back and helping out more people. So I appreciate you taking the time to be able to give back to the listeners here. And we're going to cover in just a moment avoiding the pitfalls for brand new investors. Is there anything out there that I missed? I feel like you got a lot. That's awesome.
You hit all the high notes. And of course, there's lots of stuff underneath each one of those bullet points. But yeah, it's interesting. So as you mentioned, I've been doing real estate for 16 years, and then I've been doing coaching for 14 years. So if you do the math, basically right after I got up to where I was performing and producing, I actually was approached by a company to put together some education. So I didn't necessarily think of that idea on my own.
Yeah.
But what happened was it was the perfect time because everything was still so fresh. I went through a learning curve of about 4 to 6 months of just immersing myself in different content and trying different activities, trying to pursue different investment angles. Yep. And really struggling with real specific gaps in the knowledge. So even if you go to a real estate seminar and your fingers are crossed, hopefully learning everything you need to know, depending on which program you go to, sometimes there's just gaps because you can't learn an entire industry in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
But sometimes the gaps are like by design, and I don't want to call anybody out, and I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But there are certainly programs that purposely only give you the first little bit, and then you got to pay extra to get the next little bit, and then you got to pay extra. And I think there's value on each one of those levels. And I know people that have gone through the stair-step approach and eventually figured it out. To me, that's a little frustrating.
Super frustrating. I'm in the same boat with you, but I don't like that.
And those are even people that I, normally like and respect, but the model itself, I don't necessarily care for. So what I did, I went to one of the weekend seminars originally. That was the very first exposure to any real estate. In fact, I had no interest, no intention, literally no thought to real estate at all. I graduated from college in 2003 and just started putting out resumes, applications, looking for jobs. One other thing is when you're fresh out of college and unemployed, you spend a fair amount of time watching late night TV. and the infomercials that would come on. I think there, of course, are still infomercials, but back, 15, 20 years ago, that was the heyday of info marketing. And so at 2 a.m., somebody would get on and say, do you hate your life? And of course, at 2 a.m., you're covered with crumbs and ice cream stains. And you're like, well, I don't hate my life, but maybe it could be better, right? Yeah. So you see those, and you see them on there saying, well, what about $1 million? And you're like, wait a second.
I like $1 million.
Who doesn't want $1 million? So I always viewed those with a healthy skepticism, but I had a friend who came to me and said, hey, do you want to go to one of these seminars? And I said, well, to be completely honest, it feels like it might be a scam. And he said, well, I already bought the tickets. It was, one of those buy one, get one. So he says, well, I already bought a ticket. You bring a guest for free, and you want to go? So I was like, sure, okay. So I had no desire, no interest, other than the fact that I had seen those little teasers, and I wondered, what were they talking about? I just sort of fell head over heels into real estate. And after that one seminar, I had a binder. Back in those days, the production qualities were much lower. And so it was literally a 3-ring binder of printout of PowerPoint slides. And that was the workbook. And so I sat there for 3 days. And it was funny because I remember they would do an hour of what I consider information, and then like 1 to 2 hours of promoting some kind of a product, either a website or a lead generation or a mailing campaign and all that kind of stuff. And so I could sort of feel the balance. And so when it was real estate, I was like, I just got to get all this information. I got to take all the notes. And then I didn't have any funds, right? I was out of college and no job. And so no matter how enticing their offers were, I wasn't in a position to buy anything. So all I would do is sort of sit back and take a breather when they were selling me something. And then right. So I came home from a weekend with a binder full of PowerPoint slides with whatever notes I could write and a general idea with lots of little details that were missing. Yeah. Over the next few months, I slowly figured out what I didn't know, and then was able to put together a series, string of transactions that were successful. And then right about that time, after about 2 years total, somebody came to me and said, hey, we're launching some education. Would you like to instruct people how to do this? And I thought, well, let me think about it for a minute. And my mind started racing about what about all those little things, the little details that nobody ever thought to mention. If I could bring people the big picture and fill in the details, I would be like the best real estate educator they ever saw.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to necessarily make that claim here today. I do have a fairly long and robust track record of folks that have gone through one of my courses, and now they're doing real estate if they want to.
I love it. Are you still with that company today?
So it's a different format now. Yes, I do. I am under contract with an education company as we speak. Okay. It is a lot of the same people. It's been in business since 2011, but it's not the original one that I started with.
Wow. I mean, that's some powerful stuff. So what kind of mistakes have you seen a lot of new investors get into it? And I guess just the mindset behind it, the overwhelming feeling, the scarcity, like not knowing what's going to happen next. What type of things have you seen or that you've potentially been a part of, I know a long time ago, that kind of overwhelmed you?
Yeah, great question. So I kind of want to start at the very beginning. I mentioned before that one of the things I do is real estate coaching in addition to teaching education programs. Yeah. So I get on the phone one-on-one with people every day. That's part of what I'm under contract to do. I have anywhere from 1 to sometimes 10 phone calls a day. And there's certainly a theme. Most of those people are just getting started. They're brand new. They're watching the education and they've got questions. Now, a handful of those are a little more advanced people that are workshopping a specific transaction.
Sure.
The vast majority are brand new. And the thing that I feel like it's my responsibility to pull them back from the ledge, because it happens almost all the time. I get on a call with a brand new investor. They say, okay, I saw the training videos and, I don't have a job. My credit card debt's piling up. I need to make money in 30 days or less. What should I do? And I'm like, well, can you get a job?
Yeah.
Because listen, I love to believe that anything's possible.
Yep.
So is it possible for somebody to go out tomorrow, find $1 million deal, put all the details together and make $1 million in 30 days? Yeah, it's absolutely possible. It's also like the smallest percentage of possibility. So I always like to leave open that little corner of something amazing happening. And there are great deals, but it's not every day and it's not every person. And so don't plan on it. Don't count on that.
Yeah.
So
don't put all your eggs in one basket when the pressure builds up, and then you might be homeless next month if you don't,
Exactly. So I say, listen, if you don't have money to eat, if you don't have money for rent, maybe get a job. And in fact, this is, I know, a little bit related to my experience. So when I was in high school, when I was in college, I had food service, which to me is the best entry-level job, because not only do you get some money, but usually you get either a discount or free food, which is another human need.
Which job did you say it was?
Food service.
Okay.
So when I was in high school, I made Subway sandwiches, and every day for 2.5 years, I had a Subway sandwich.
I love it. See, I've done the same thing. The restaurant jobs, it's like you're making some money, get cash tips maybe, and then you're also getting fed each day, which saves money.
Get a job at an establishment where you like the food, because if that's I'm hanging out for dear life, and you get something in your belly, and that's the perfect way to survive. So that's a pro tip. But the other, what was I say? So what I was saying is, people come to me and they say, I've got 30 days before my entire life falls apart. I need to make some money in real estate right this second. And I say, well, look, and I tell them exactly what I said to you. I said, it's always possible. I don't want to close the door on that, but I also don't want you to be expecting that. So why don't we take a step back from the precipice and do something else to get your food and your rent and something and whatever you need.
Yeah.
And let's take a realistic view. I believe that most people, they spend a few hours a day, can get up and running in real estate. And by that, I mean they've done one transaction. Maybe they've got 2 or 3 more in the pipeline. Maybe they've at least made offers. I think that almost anyone could be up and running in real estate in 3 to 6 months. And there's certainly people that can do it shorter. And honestly, I get on the phone with people who have been doing real estate for 12 or 18 months and they've never actually done a deal. They've just been on the periphery. They've been watching courses. They've been going to investor club meetings, and they've identified like their personality is, I am an investor. And then they wake up one day and then there's a conflict between their actions, and they say, well, I just realized that I can't call myself an investor unless I actually do a deal. But I believe that the sweet spot is 3 to 6 months. If you believe and plan for 90 days instead of 30 days, then we could put together a step-by-step plan of do this, do this, do this, do this. So again, I believe the number one pitfall of a brand new investor is there's just so short-sighted. I don't know. It's a combination of naivete and optimism, I guess. But the other thing that I've learned more over the years is how it's in really anything. Everybody wants a quick fix. Everybody wants instant this, instant that. And you can read a book and get an instant rush. But if you want a result from anything that you learn or read, you have to implement it over time. Time is the variable that makes almost everything work.
I agree.
So I think,
and when it comes down to that motivation, like, you're getting motivation, you're excited about whatever you learned that weekend, and now like you want to become a real estate investor, so you want to start taking action steps, but you still got bills, you got family to feed, or whatever it is, you got other issues that are bringing down that pain point. So you need that daily motivation to be able to keep you persistent and on track. But I love the 90-day type of increments, because that's what I've always taken action on. Like if I'm analyzing 3 deals a day and I know the strategy I want to pick, I know the location, I've done the due diligence, I know my neighborhood, I've painted the vision into all the individuals within the area, I have leads coming in, and from wholesalers, realtors, brokers, direct mail marketing, or cold calling, bandit signs, whatever it is, the leads are coming in. I just need to simply analyze 3 deals a day and submit at least an offer on 1. And then I'm getting closer to my goal with hopefully within 90 days, I can pull something off.
Yeah, that's totally true. And the way I like to think of it is, if you want to know where you're going to be in 90 days from today, then just look at what you're doing every day.
Yep.
Right? If you're exercising good health and nutrition, 90 days later, you'll be in better health. That doesn't mean you'll be in perfect health. It means you'll be better. If you're learning a skill, practicing music, doing real estate, whatever you're doing every day is who you want to be. And another thing I'd like to mention in this part, so I say time frame, 90 days, will kind of it takes the pressure off do or die. So in other words, if it's 30 days, every deal is like a make or break. But like you said, if I analyze 3 deals a day and make an offer, it doesn't matter if I get this one or tomorrow or the next day. As long as I do that every day, eventually a deal gets through.
Yeah. It's that time factor of like persistence, consistency, and doing exactly what the rule of thumb or the people out there are teaching you. Do those steps, and over time, you'll get the results.
Exactly. It's little actions repeated daily. I mean, that's literally the secret of everything. But the other thing I like to point out is when you look at the social media world and whoever's successful, you see the mansions, the swimming pool, the yacht, the Ferrari, the Lambo. And so people are like, okay, 30 days, $1 million, let's do it.
Fun. Yeah.
and again, I always say, look, it might be possible. I know people who on their first deal, they accidentally connected with somebody and they flipped a house and it was $500,000.
Yep.
And great. That's fantastic. It's like one person that I've met over 16 years.
Yeah.
But it exists. It's possible. Don't count yourself out. Don't plan on it. But the other thing I say is, look, would $1 million be wildly exciting? Yes, of course. But for the average person, 50 would change their entire outlook. It would give them a chance to quit a job that they didn't like. It would give them a chance to pay off debts that they have incurred. It would give them a chance to have seed money to grow the business. And so as much as I want everyone to have $1 million, the reality is the interval between 0 and $1 million is really, it's so much more steep than the average person thinks, because they see on Instagram everybody's got $1 million, so it should be super easy. But nobody goes from 0 to $1 million. You go from 0 to 5,000, maybe to 10,000. Maybe 100,000 if you're really on a great month.
Yeah.
And so if you can string together 2 or 3 deals and pull in an extra $50,000 to $100,000 in the next 12 months, that changes most people's life.
Yes.
And it's a realistic thing. I feel like I could take almost anybody who's willing to work and get them to that level, like reliably over and over and over. So, so that's the other thing is I make sure that if you want to have a 5 or a 10-year goal or a retirement goal or whatever, keep that there. But what are we going to do in 90 days? What if we made 10 grand in the next 90 days? What if we made 50 grand in the next 12 months? And then suddenly, the pressure's relieved.
Yeah.
It's not swing for the fences every time. It's choose your pitch.
Yeah.
To use a baseball analogy, it's look, you got time to watch each one of those pitches, and it doesn't have to be a home run. It could be a base hit, because by the time you get a base hit, over and over and over, that's what scores. The number of home, and I'm other than the fact that I'm vaguely aware of baseball, I'm not super into it, but I believe that the statistics of base hits versus home runs, there's got to be more base hits than home runs, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm an optimistic person naturally, so I do believe when there's a will, there's a way. I agree 100% with you. And when you see somebody and you're like, that person's going to teach me how to get their lifestyle, like a Ty Lopez type of thing within 30 days, and I'm going to be in that mansion with those Ferraris, with those Lamborghinis, with all those women or whatever it is, like it's happened. Don't get me wrong. And I pray it happens for each and every person if they can handle that, and God willing. But it is that slim, less than 1% chance. Yeah. So more realistic levels is like stay consistent and make those goals of time frame. 90 days, this is what I'm going to do every single day. I'm going to make this into a quote as well. But I love what you said. If you want to know where you're going to be in 90 days, look at what you're doing every day. Yeah. So powerful. It really is. That's everything.
Yeah, thanks. And I appreciate that you brought Ty Lopez up, not necessarily to...
I love Ty. No against.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not to editorialize, but the problem is people are comparing their day 1 or their month 1 to year 10.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he once he hit his stride, like everything went nuclear. But how many years did he try to think of different marketing techniques?
You didn't see the 20 years before that, all the hard work in the basement type of thing. You don't get to see those days.
All the overnight successes that I know, and I know a handful, the overnight after 5, 6, 7 years of toiling, and then it looks like it's overnight, but we didn't see the work that was preceding that breakthrough. So if you want to be an overnight success, just focus on your craft for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. Just put in the hard work for 10 years, and then we'll see you overnight.
That's right. Because you go to sleep every night, so every day could be that day, but it probably won't be for a few years.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good. So tell me about, are you mostly focusing on on coaching other individuals now, or are you actively doing the real estate side as well, or are you comfortable with your portfolio of where it's at currently?
Yeah, I've got a great balance right now. And so one of the things that you also benefit from by being in the industry for 16 years is I've got a fairly robust referral network.
Yep.
And so I'm marketing for deals, although I'm kicking some tires on some new marketing just to kind of see what I could generate. But I had a closing last week that consisted of somebody calling me with a mid-century, 1940 or 1950 property in a great part of town, foothills area. They called and said, "Hey, I got a seller here who doesn't have the money to fix the house. They're getting divorced. They got to get out of it right away."
Wow.
So I went and looked at it. It was outside of my scope of interest. So my one of the things I teach people is to get very narrow on the types of projects that you do.
Yes.
Because the better you, then the easier your life will be. If you try to do everything a little bit, you might be able to get some of those plates spinning, but then they come crashing down. So,
yeah, you're half-ass on everything. That focus on one thing until successful and know exactly what you're focusing on, you're going to get faster results, cleaner results, and better overall serving whoever you're doing business with.
Oh yeah. And so years and years and years ago, my parameters are, if I'm going to do the project, it's got to be a property that was built after 1990. Original. Like, some look at it if it's in the 1980s. If it's before 1980, I'm not going to renovate it.
Yeah. There's
a ton of properties that are ripe for renovation. There's a ton of people that love doing that. My very first years, maybe 3 or 4 years, I didn't have those parameters. I took everything. One of the worst experiences that I had was renovating a home that was originally built in 1908. And if you can imagine, the building codes and the standards were different. And so when you go into a property like that, it's like literally you've got to take, you leave the outside of the structure.
Yeah, but everything else goes.
All the inside walls off. And it's not like sheetrock like we have now. It's like wood, and they call it lath and plaster. It's wood that's been plastered. Yeah. And the only way to take it off is in huge chunks.
And it's heavy as hell.
Oh my gosh. I can't. And then you got to rewire everything. You've got to replumb everything. And those types of things are very creatively rewarding for some people, but for me it was a nightmare. And so if the property was built after 1990, and if I don't do any reconfiguring, so I don't add bathrooms, I don't punch out a new living space. I look at the structure, and if I can add value I'll do roofs, I'll do windows, I'll do any kind of interior, I'll do cabinets, I'll do flooring, I'll do painting, anything that I could just put a new version in and be done in 6 weeks or less. That's what I do. If it's outside that parameter, I don't do it anymore. And so I got this call. Perfect. I mean, it's the prototypical, nothing had been upgraded since the 50s. Yeah. And it's going to be a great flip for somebody. So I got the call, "Hey, I've got this property. Do you want to do it?" I said, "You know what? I don't want to, but I know somebody who does." And I matched these people up. And, 3 weeks later, I make my fee. And so I'm doing a few deals from time to time, to just whatever comes my way. And then, like I mentioned before, I'm always curious and interested in trying new things. So I am going to kick the tires on some marketing to see if I can generate some leads. But between proactively doing the coaching and the training, and usually once a month, I'll travel to an area and do a live event. And so between that and whatever deals just kind of show up every month or two, that pretty much fills my schedule.
I love that. So what does the future kind of hold for you? What do you see yourself doing in the near future with real estate?
Here's what I'm focused on right now. And I mentioned this a little bit. If I can get good at generating leads, I've got enough there. Here's the reality of real estate. People want to get into real estate because they think they can do it better, right? If you think about it, if you look at a real estate agent or a real estate investor, you line 20 of them up and you say, "Why should I sell my house to you? Because I'm unique. Because I'm unique. Because I'm unique. Because I'm unique. Because I'm the best. Because I'm unique. Because I'm the best." They're not unique. They're not the best. Yeah. To me, they're either competent or not.
Yeah, exactly. You either can do the job or you can't. It's one and the same.
And so I have I'm a little sensitive to trying to be as accurate as I can be. And so when I go to people and they say, "Why should I choose you over someone else?" A lot of times I say, "Look, I'm sure there's other competent people out there. I know what I'm doing. If this is a connection, if you like my style and the way I am, then we're transacting. You are totally unnerved by, my sometimes clumsy vocabulary or you don't like my cavalier attitude because I'm a little casual, whatever, then it's just not a good fit. And so what I'm trying to do as much as I can is maybe be like a lead generation source.
Sure.
And then take those leads and pass them on to the people that are competent, they're professional, they're more interested than I am in getting dirty at this point.
Be that middleman to create that win-win situation.
Absolutely. So in other words, as time progresses, I'm narrowing my focus. If I could do that one thing, and I do it, I mean, just like the deal that I finished a week or two ago, I do it fairly well. Looking for consistency. I'm looking for, reliable, you turn it on, turn it off type of a thing. Whereas right now it's just, it ends up being a little sporadic. So if I could generate the leads and not actually do the work, that's my ideal scenario.
I love that. So we spoke about lead generation and I mean, at this point, networking like crazy. You have a big network of individuals. So they're sending you deals. You have the relationships built. They know you're a closer and you can perform. So therefore, they're going to send you these deals to make that win-win situation. As far as running the numbers, do you recommend anything? I feel like there's a lot of individuals first getting started that get caught up on the number aspects and just uneducated, don't know exactly what kind of numbers, how to figure out the ARV. I know every wholesaling is going to be different than fix and flip. The burst strategy is a little different. There's so many different ways to run the numbers, but is there anything that you would recommend for somebody getting started to understand and get a little bit more education on the numbers? Yeah.
Here's the thing. I hesitate to give out formulas because depending on what deal I look at, I'll personally use a different formula. So it's hard for me to give out a universal formula. I'll give two examples. So
there's like no universal one because every market's different as well. So you got to understand that. Yeah.
And even if somebody, so this is back to the seminars, even if somebody gives you a formula, they're only giving you that formula because people crave a tiny bit of concrete. What can I latch my brain onto? Yeah. I promise you, the people that are teaching that formula, they may use it as a template, but on any given deal, they know which parts can move in order to get the deal done. When I give you a template of a formula and you run a property through it and it's a no, and then you pass on the deal and you do that every time, you're never going to do a deal. So, so in order to use a formula, you have to know which parts are movable. And so I'll basically, the way that I show people, and again, back to this idea of when I talk to somebody, it's the first real estate deal. I'm just trying to get them started. And of course, that's one of the most common questions is how do I know if it's a deal or not? So there's two types of deals. There's either short-term or long-term.
Yep.
And a short-term would be a wholesale, a flip. I guess that's basically a wholesale or flip. And then the longer-term are your lease options, your sub-twos, your buy and holds, your even if you're going to sell it in 12 to 24 months, that's still a longer-term deal.
Sure.
And so you can afford to pay a little more on a longer term deal. You got to figure in the cash flow versus the appreciation, all that kind of stuff. But on a shorter term deal, on either a wholesale or a flip, I basically say, well, you have to be able to identify at least three numbers in order for this to work. The first number is, like you mentioned, the ARV, which is the after repaired value. And I believe that's true for anybody, no matter what type of deal, long term, short term. You have to put your finger on, at least within a certain range, what is this house worth on the market right now? If you have no idea, you can't do the deal.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, it's like the living, breathing part of the numbers. You need that. It's very, very crucial.
Yeah. And so I always ask people what their access to data is. So in other words, in some states that are public record states, meaning every real estate transaction is disclosed, the price is disclosed at the county, they might be able to just go right to the source. But anywhere that people are, the MLS, the multiple listing service, which licensed agents and brokers have access to, that almost always has the most complete and easily sortable, searchable content. And so usually if the person is not licensed, because there are many real estate agents who come to a seminar and say, well, I know how to sell a house to somebody who lives there, but I don't know how to flip. I don't know how to do rentals. I don't know. So if they're already licensed, great. They can just do their own analysis. But if not, I said, look, your first job is to make friends with the real estate agent. And and I always feel like I need to qualify that, because before I got licensed, so there was 6 years when I was investing, flipping, short sales with no license, and I had to rely on real estate agents. And my experience was widely varied, because you know how people are. Some are great and some are terrible.
Yeah.
And within that range, you've got licensed real estate agents. Some are great, some are terrible, and I met all of them, I think. Don't just latch on to somebody because they're licensed. Chat with them, set expectations, find out how their expertise is, work with them for a little bit. If it's working, maybe double down and create a relationship. If it's not working, say, hey, for whatever reason, it's probably me. It's not working. I need somebody else. But you got to find somebody who can give you that ARV, the number that will tell you, what is this house going to be worth when we're all done? And then, because that's the starting point, and then we back away from that. And so ARV, the second number you've got to have some kind of a grasp on is the repair number, because that's the one that if you either underestimate or wrongly estimate, you could sink or swim, right? And honestly, I think more people overestimate and don't do deals that they could do.
In the beginning, yes, I do highly agree. People talk themselves out of deals left and right just because they're so scared to potentially mess this up, and the numbers are just unrealistic. It doesn't cost $100,000 to do every remodel out there.
Right. Yeah, that's perfect. You're exactly right. In the beginning, that is absolutely one of the big obstacles to getting into their first deal. They're so nervous, they're so scared. And in fairness, I am also of the category of people who says, double check, triple check your numbers, make sure these are real. And so I don't want people to hear me and say, oh, well, don't worry so much about the repair estimates. I'll figure it out as I go. And I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
What happens is they get an estimate, and then they'll add on an extra $2,000 or $3,000 buffer on every line item.
Yeah.
And
that's aggressive.
Yeah. If you've got a $50,000 budget and I look at it and I've got a $30,000 budget, that's the difference between me doing the deal and you not doing the deal.
Yes.
So
now
go ahead.
Let's talk about this as well for a second. I see so many people, it breaks my heart too. So many people in the beginning trying to get, like, they acknowledge real estate's the way to get that financial freedom. They love it. They really want to get involved, but they're trying to figure out the whole money aspect first. So they're trying to raise money, but they don't have any credibility. They have no experience. They have this desire, but they can't really even talk the talk because they're not doing any deals. So therefore, trying to raise money from friends, family, or hard money lenders, like, they're getting laughed at and saying, like, no way. My personal experience is I truly believe in the power, and I always tell people to go this route. Lock something up under contract and then find the money. Lock it up under contract, run the numbers, then get your contractors out there, get several of them, try to really get apples to apples comparison. You should be going through the house yourself, making a checklist of everything that needs to get repaired, giving it over to them, or walking through with each contractor. So you're getting apples to apples comparison, because I've screwed up on that in the beginning, letting them all go in and they all give me all different types of remodels.
The scope of work has to be defined, because otherwise one guy wants to do everything and you just want carpet and paint.
One guy is repairing, a roof when you need a patch job or something. So make sure it's apples to apples comparison. And then I find the money, because it's under contract. It's something, if it is a deal and you just show it around, as long as you're not holding it to yourself, if you show it to hard money lenders, if you show it to private money lenders that are investors that know what a deal looks like, then they should have confidence in it if it's a deal. If they're not willing to give you, especially a hard money lender, if they're not willing to give you money, it's a great indication that maybe that contract really isn't in your favor. Maybe those numbers aren't as good as you thought they were.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point, and I totally agree with that. If you think you've done a good job of putting a property under contract and nobody will touch it with financing, and these are experienced people, absolutely. Yes. That's a safety net that maybe you're frustrated, but you just dodged a bullet.
Yeah, it's such a blessing. It really is. I've never, thankfully, I've been blessed. I've never run into this situation, but I know another individual that couldn't get any lending, reached out to me about it. And I was like, it's a strong indication, my friend. That's not one of those deals you're going to want to go back to try to renegotiate that deal, or possibly just let that one go. Because if nobody else is biting at it, nobody else is picking up, that's not a deal.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would add one other twist. I agree with your opinion that you, with the deal under contract, now you can talk turkey with a lender. But I use an analogy that I call the Kmart shoes. I don't know if there's still Kmart. The one that was here is no longer in business. Did they go out of business?
I think so, brother. I don't know. I don't see them anywhere either.
But this is when I was a kid, this is what I remember. If you went to Kmart to try on shoes, they were stuck together with that little piece of plastic. I don't know. There may be a shoe store that still does this, but to me, that's what Kmart did. So there's like a little plastic, so you could put your feet into them to see if they fit, but you couldn't walk.
Yeah.
And so I think of it as the Kmart shoes, where your feet are in the shoes, but they're connected. So all you can do is take a tiny little step, and then you have to take a tiny little step.
Yes.
And so what I tell people is, look, have a 2 to 5 minute preliminary conversation about funding. Hey, do you want to do some real estate deals together? Sure. Great. I'll put you on my list. I'll call you when I have a deal.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's so crucial. It really is. You don't want to surprise them out of nowhere with hey, I got this deal. I need money now. That's like a crackhead type of mentality. No relationship built whatsoever. But you don't also want to overwhelm them in the beginning and you have nothing to bring to the table. And you don't have another deal coming up next week. Like you're brand new. You don't really know what the hell's going on. And you're trying to get them to give you money next week for hopefully when you have a deal, it's blowing smoke and they're going to acknowledge that and kind of lose respect, in my opinion. So I agree. I think the 1 foot in front of the other type of thing slowly. I love the Kmart analogy right there. Have a couple-minute conversation with a few different lenders, start building the relationship, let them know your drive, keep it short, simple, and sweet, and get out there and start bringing those deals so you can bring it to them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't know if this is a segue or just more conversation, but the other thing that, again, almost all new investors are like, how do I fund these deals? We've already been talking about that a little bit. But one of the things I say, it's hard to grasp when you at different perspectives, it's hard to see what the other person sees. There is so much money available for good real estate deals. It's literally like I feel bad that I have to tell people, no, I can't take your money. And so to get to that point, I get it. I totally understand. Until you have that experience, I know that you don't believe it exactly to the level that we know it. But what I think people can do is even so, no matter where you live, and if you have 0 people in your network or in your sphere of influence, because you're the first person in your town. Of course you're not, but you think you're the first person in your town who saw the seminar, they saw the class, and you're like, I don't know a single person who's doing real estate. If you were to get on a Google search and type the name of your town and private money real estate loans or whatever, you would get a list of what those essentially are as hard money loans. And for you to take 2 or 3 minutes per call and just say, hey, I wanted to reach out. I don't have a deal yet, so I'm not going to bother you that much. I just wanted to connect and make sure I understood. Do you have a term sheet, or do you have a list of parameters? Usually they go from 70 to sometimes I've seen 95%, depending on the loan and on the situation.
Yeah.
And so now you know how to engage with that person when you have a deal. It's the Kmart shoes again. I don't have a deal to talk about today, but I do have 2 or 3 minutes to say, hey, I want to bring you a deal.
Yep.
What should I bring to you? And they'll tell you. And then now, again, as you go out and make offers, you can, as soon as you have that contract, you can go straight back to the hard money lender, and you've already had a conversation. You already know what they want.
Yep.
And I just think that people who feel like I have nowhere to start, if you just start at Google, there's so much there. Real estate, loans, private money, and then the name of your town or your city.
Yep.
I mean, literally, you'll get tired before the results run out. Call 3, call 5. If you're making sure to do some real estate activity every day, take 60 minutes on one of the days and call 5 or 6 of those, and you'll be enlightened as to not only how much is available and how fast it could be available, but exactly how you can access it. And there will be some people that say it's not a good fit. In fact, I was at an event in San Diego just about a year ago, and I was sitting at a roundtable discussion with a guy that had some really incredible renovation loans. Yeah. And we're talking about it, and I'm getting excited, and then suddenly a little light bulb goes on because I was in San Diego, and I said, well, what's your lending parameters in Idaho?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh man, you know what? We know the Boise market is hot, and we see it in the news. We're not licensed in Idaho yet. I think they were licensed in 4 or 5 Western states. And so, basic things like regional lenders. There are regional lenders that maybe they're not in your city or your town, but they will loan in your area. So, like one of the things that you could do fairly easily just on your own with a computer is to get a short list of potential funding partners for your first deal.
Yeah, I mean, the list goes on and on. At the end of the day, there's like everything that we're explaining here. It's not out of thin air. It's all out there. Like the books, the podcast, the YouTube, Google. Like you can find out all this information. I hope that we can help with our personal learning curves that we've personally experienced or we've seen others experience to help save you time and energy without having to go through a million forums to read it yourself. But at the end of the day, there's got to be a time and a place of taking action. Yes, education is very, very crucial. It'll take you 40 to 50% there maybe. And then afterwards, whatever you learned, it's a whole new ball game when you're actually doing it in person, hands-on. But there's got to be that action step because that's when you're going to learn. That's where you're going to really get what you're looking to accomplish.
Yeah. No, I totally support and agree with that. Maybe to add on to that, again, this is my final. I did have a couple of bullet points prepared. This was the final one. We've already sort of talked around it, but I just want to drive home that the most successful person, again, in the framework of I'm going from no experience at all to a deal in that 90-day time frame, the most successful person will get laser focused on one particular thing. So I get common conversations is somebody who says, wow, I'm super excited. I love wholesaling. I love flipping. I love short-term rentals is very popular now. I love apartments. I love commercial. I can't wait to do all this real estate. And I say, great. All of those are profitable strategies.
Yeah.
If you literally not differentiate because you love them all just for you can only do one at a time. If you're laser focused on doing a single family wholesale deal, there's going to be a list of 5 or 6 things that you've got to get good at over the next 90 days. And if you do those 5 or 6 things, then I can, I hate to guarantee, I can strongly predict that you will succeed. If you do wholesaling on Monday and then apartments on Tuesday and commercial on Wednesday, maybe at some point in the next few years you'll reach critical mass and you'll accidentally do a deal.
Yeah, a few years from accidentally. Yeah. The whole focus on one thing till successful. It's so crucial.
One thing, and I also tell people again with this 90-day outlook on life. A lot of people are saying, well, if I only do short-term rentals, I'll never be able to do a flip. And I say, well, hold on, we're not quitting on flipping. We're just deferring it. So this is my 90-day push on this strategy. And then at the next 90 days, I can either reevaluate, I can continue doing what I'm doing for another 90-day section, or I can revisit something that I felt like I was leaving behind. And so, again, it comes down to this long view and little things at a time. If you really, really, really like people with 2 or 3 different levels of I want to do flips, and then I want to get some rentals, and then I want to get apartments, and then I want to get commercial. Fantastic. Write it down in that chronological order over the next 5 years. And do the first one first, and don't even think about commercial at all. And so again, if you're worried about, I want to do multifamily and flips, I'm quitting multifamily to do flips. That's not correct. You're consciously planning when it's going to happen, and you're leaving it there pinned on the wall. It's not forgotten. It's not going to go away. There will always be people who need to live somewhere, and just focus on right now. And it should go well for you.
I love that. There's a lot of power in that, in focusing. Gavin, you're the man, brother. I appreciate you so much. I know you just gave about an hour of your time to the listeners and helping out more people. So I appreciate you. I know your heart's in the right place. How can people get a hold of you?
Other than, so here I am on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram as well, Gavin McCaleb. And as far as specifically real estate, if you start following Rapid Real Estate Radio, which is the podcast, you can find it on iTunes. There's the website, rapidrealestateradio.com, where you can subscribe. That's really the best way to connect via real estate. And in fact, you know what? As a special bonus, I don't know if it's a bonus or not. If you go to rapidrealestateradio.com, that's how you can see the podcast information. But if you scroll down a little below the fold, you can actually ask me any real estate question you want. And you just push the button, you ask the question. And what I usually do is I incorporate that into a future podcast episode as a live, Q&A. Well, not live, but as a user-generated Q&A. So
Sure.
Ask me any question you want on the website. Or like I said, you can find me on social, and I'll look for action.
Nice. It's like free coaching right there. I'm going to start bugging you, and whenever I need you, I'm going to start messaging you.
Yeah, man, whatever you need.
I love that. Well, I appreciate that so much. I know that's going to help out tremendously a lot of people, and that's awesome. If you guys want to reach out to me, you guys can always do so at BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Otherwise, Instagram, Brandon Elliott Investments, and then Facebook.com/Brandon Elliott REI. Make sure you go check out the podcast, Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast on iTunes, preferably. This is just behind the scenes for the episode. Hit that subscribe button so you get the newest notification every single Monday. And then also leave a review. Let me know what you guys think about it. Till next Monday, Gavin, appreciate you so much, brother. You're the man.
Glad to assist.
All right. Till next time, guys. Stay blessed.
This has been another episode of Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, brought to you by Brandon Elliott. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Thanks again for joining. Until